All right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone. Welcome everybody to the London Open session on April 8th, Wednesday edition. So, as you can see, overnight we had quite a large rally higher on the basis of Trump seeking peace right now, which apparently the index futures like a lot. And as I posted on my Telegram channel not long ago, I believe that we might see, or we might have seen, some more important low on the daily chart being placed intact. So probably as long as the situation doesn't change drastically, we could be seeking all-time highs even on the index futures. Yeah, that's kind of what I would think for now. And yeah, nonetheless, let's go into the session today. So the draw that I like, those relative equal highs on MNQ M26, still a little bit of room to get there. And yeah, I think I will now maximize this chart, and the idea is to navigate the London Open session correctly or properly after this big run up during Asia. So clearly we can see we gapped open higher at the open, showed a slower closing the gap, and then price pretty much continuously kept on going higher and higher and higher and higher until this point. So initially, the initial interest going into the London Open session, I would like to see some measure of relative equal lows being targeted, or at least I want to give it a try or a chance to being delivered. So the first most obvious relative equal lows are here. The next one are right there, so I can annotate them too, and I don't really want to go too far back with that. And yeah, so let's maximize this chart, and yeah, let's write this down. So because Asia only during London Open. Initial bias. Alright, so the initial bias means that that's just an initial expectation. I personally think the price can and will keep on going higher, but regardless whether it wants to go higher or not, those lows are very, very, very prompt to be taken out, because look how stretched higher we are since the Asia. We've taken many buy side liquidity pools along the way, so it would be very, very, very reasonable for the price to at least try to seek some sell side liquidity. Because large range in Asia, London might be high resistance. So large range Asia, sloppy. So yeah, in a sense it could be like, you know, consolidating or something like that. So generally I'm not thinking about it as the easiest session ever that we'll have, but yeah. So if it's going to like keep on going higher from where it is and keep on making higher highs, I will be not participating in going long. I'm only interested if it offers any opportunity to run the sell side liquidity here, or after it does that, to maybe seek some longs then. Otherwise I'm just watching price, and yeah. So yeah, let's take our time to do the tape reading here. Hello Ash, welcome to the stream. Hope you have a good morning today. Alright, I'm still kinda thrown off guard due to the high fever, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Yeah. So far price just keeps on making higher highs and not really expanding much above them. All of this is overlapping price action, so I'm kind of like waiting for some PD array or imbalance or maybe displacement to facilitate. But yeah, I think these lows here are reasonable for the London Open session to be targeted. But let's see. Nothing is guaranteed. But yeah, I'm looking like with hope into the future. I'm from Poland. After the Trump peace declaration, that we might see some easier price action in the index futures, because if there is peace in America, then yeah, we might see the index futures loosen up, and probably with all of that they will seek all-time highs again. So we might see some better or easier price action. on a larger scale soon. All right. So I will annotate this busy here. So, not interested in chasing higher prices right now. Waiting for discount / run on Radivico those first. So basically, if it goes from here higher, I'm doing nothing about it. So yeah, this busy, if we go, if we trade below it, that might act as inversion for Valley Gap to possibly send us lower. So that's what I'm thinking. There is also this overlap of the midnight opening range here, which the first presented fair value gap for the sorry, high fever. I gotta mute myself. But nonetheless, this is the first printed fair value gap after midnight. So I will annotate that too. First presented fair value gap. Alright, so this sells a liquidity, this first printed fair value gap here, that's basically my main idea for this session right now, as it is. Okay. I posted it also in the Telegram channel for completeness sake. And for everyone who is not watching live. So as I have outlined the potential draw on liquidity for price for this session, now I can watch and look for very specific signatures in price. Namely, what would that be? I would like to see a run on buy side liquidity first. So maybe form some relative equal highs, run them, and then I would be comfortable looking for Finks or premium arrays to send us lower towards this area here. As far as this, but that would be like a very good consensus. So we'll see how it goes. Still have like lots of time. The session just began, so this initial like sloppiness or consolidation is reasonable after such a large range higher. So yeah, I will annotate the buy side liquidity. Okay. So yeah, this basically could become an inversion fair value gap. So that's also what I'm watching. Preferably we see some run on buy side first, and then trade on a closing basis below this BSI. And Q took that high buy side liquidity. Yeah, I mean that's fine, that's reasonable. There's always a difference between Nasdaq and micro. So good to know. But yet I would really like to see those like relative equal highs like this being pierced and then rejected. That's what I would like. All right. All right, so it's really not happening too much since the London Open start, just consolidating, meaning I got to wait. All right, so price is touching the high of that buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency here. So as long as the upper half of this imbalance is respected, I would say that a run on those relative equal highs here would be possible, but let's see. Looks like we will be forming a SIBI here, which also would be like kind of like breaking out of this consolidation. So if it's going to go lower, then this should be a breakaway gap. Then include the volume imbalance, just like this. That's a SIBI. But in this case, or in this context, it would be preferred to act as breakaway gap and stay open if it's going to vault lower. But before I would like be really confident about it, I would still want to wait for the price to close below this BC, because I believe as long as we are in the upper half, we might see price actually try to go above those highs. So let's see. Alright, so far price failed to even touch the low of the CB. Interesting enough. If it breaks lower from here and closes below this BC, then any return into the lower half I would like to see and act as inversion, bearish inversion, to run towards those lows. So I'm watching right now if this candle can close below the BC. Alright, no closer below it yet, but closed below the 50%. So that's already like not as bullish, but unless it would need to leave and close below it for me to be like exceedingly bearish near term. So generally I like the fact that the price failed to even reach into the CB here, but yeah, if it will trade to it later, like in a couple of minutes, then it cancels this as a breakaway gap in a sense. So I don't want to see this being closed. That's what I'm at. Traded into this bearish order block here, and it reacted very nicely. So I'll annotate that. Still no close below the BC. Yeah, I also wouldn't prefer to spend too much time inside of this imbalance. So preferably we either leave to the upside or to the downside, but don't spend too much time inside of it, because if we will, then we might see some consolidation coming in here, which would mean that we would need to wait more. Alright, traded to the high of the BC and rejected that as resistance here on a small scale. So I like to see these type of signatures when I'm bearish. But yet it looks like it wants to revisit this CB, in my opinion. So we'll see. Good morning, Candy. Hello. I hope you have a great morning so far. Alright, so it closed above this order block low here, and it fails to really get below it. But at the same time, the high of this busy is kind of like keeping or gatekeeping the price from going higher. So preferably, if it's going lower, this should actually be a breakaway gap. This SIBI, right? That's how I would like to interpret this. If we trade into it, then I kinda have to wait for more information. But leaving it as it is and breaking below this busy, then I'm pretty interested in this acting as bearish inversion and sending the price lower towards the sell side and midnight first printed fair value gap. So yeah, I like how the busy high resisted price here. That's a nice little signature here. Premium sensitivity. It formed a swing high and now it's moving lower. So this low should be taken soon and close below this busy. That's what I want to see. Alright, so I don't like this type of close here, unless that's fine. I just need to wait more for more information. Again, spending too much time inside of imbalance like this isn't also something I like to see. Usually it's way better if it just smashes right through it and then leaves it. Okay, so looks like price is going to make an attempt to trade into the SIBI. It touches the low. And again, as long as it leaves some portion open, that's solid for lower. But if it wants to go for those highs, I don't have like an argument against that. That's actually what I would prefer to see before going lower. So clear those highs out and then break lower. But if it wants to go lower from where it is right now, then it would need to leave a portion open. But we'll see. So this is the open portion of the SIBI here right now. That if price breaks lower from here, then that would be acting as a breakaway gap, basically. But again, the filter or the line in the sand is this busy. It has to be inverted first, right? So far no inversion here, no close below it. Price couldn't even reach the low with the week. So is that bullish or bearish? Obviously it's more bullish at the time. Also, after tonight's speech from Mr. President, I believe there is a lot of euphoria in the streets. So lots of people want to get long. And if that's the case, I personally, if I would be making the market for Nasdaq, I would give them those relative equal highs, a breakout above that, so they can buy a breakout, and then I would drag them all the way lower below those lows here and into the first printed fair value gap after midnight. That's what I would do, and that would basically do a lot of damage to anyone who is going long or chasing longs, especially during London like this. And yeah, basically, even if price were to go higher eventually, that would be very beneficial. But yeah, so far all of this price action, all of these candles are overlapping, fuzzy, back and forth, not really moving very nicely. It trades into inefficiencies and spends time inside of them. That's not what we want to see. It trades into this inefficiency and it's spending time kinda inside of it because it's not moving away. So is this high resistance or low resistance liquidity rank condition? High resistance, obviously. Again, so it is what it is. So finding support at the high of the BSI, of this BSI, could lead to run on those relative equal highs here. So as it is right now, it kind of feels still a little bit 50-50 in terms of what it wants to do right now. It could go higher from where it is. It could go lower also. So yeah, that's why taking the buy sell liquidity first would shift the probabilities in the favor of going short afterwards. Alright, so basically still waiting for the price to do something, because as it is right now, it's just marking time. Not much is happening. So again, remember the characteristic for the London Open session, which is the false breakout. And wouldn't be that very convenient to make a false breakout above those relative equal highs and then reject that and trade all the way down for the sell side here? I believe that's pretty much a no-brainer for them to unfold, because yeah, after this up only Asia, that makes a lot of sense. Regardless how to punish anyone who is like either short right now or chasing longs after a breakout. So price tapping into the remaining portion of that CB and rejecting that near term. It's key how it trades after this type of rejection, right? Because after this short-term buy side being taken out here and rejection from that CB, we don't want the next candle to stall. It would need to run, do something, but it stays inside the small range, so it's not as important or significant, or it's rather showing that even after trading to a premium, it fails to really lose the ground, right? So that kind of like implies that it could be seeking those highs, but nonetheless, nothing there for me right now in terms of low resistance liquidity run. So this is basically a price action on hold. In my view, I need to wait. I need to wait for price to do something, because right now it's completely not doing too much, just marking time. The past over 10 minutes, 12 minutes. which again it's reasonable after such a large range Asia. That's reasonable, but nonetheless this is building sentiment, this is building up more liquidity here, and that's the scenario that I'm like preferring to see unfold for today. Besides that, I'm not holding high expectations for this London Open session, so this is also important to keep in mind. And again, remember that the rule number one in trading is capital preservation, right? So that's what we do right now. Price making this remaining portion of this CB smaller and smaller, poking higher, at the same time respecting the high and the upper half of that BSI. So again, it would be reasonable to see or expect price to make a false breakout above the buy side there, and then like maybe tremble lower. That's something I would like to see. But it has to leave this small little range right now. Alright, so let's see if price can actually weather a run on this buy side here. It kind of looks like it's preparing to do so. So really slow price action so far. Not much to be said. very very slow price action. This is the original CB from low to high, and we are spending a lot of time inside of it too, so I'm really not like in a rush to do anything at this moment. And the scenario that I'm preferably looking for or watching is take out the buy set first. So before that happens, I'm really reluctant to take any trade at a time. And this type of protocol hopefully keeps me away from the troubled waters that we see right now. Ay. It's testing my patience today, though. So right now we are basically in between two PD arrays, discount BSI and premium CB, and price is kinda meandering and spending time in both of them. So let's see which one gives up the ghost first. So price approaching the consecutive encroachment of this BSI here. Let's see what it does with it. Okay, close below. So that's already like a sign of weakness in my eyes, or more bearish type of order flow. Waiting for potential close below the BSI still. That's the rule for the inversion fair value gap here. If it doesn't do that, there is nothing for me to do still. a small little fair value gap formed here on the 254 candle, so I'm noting that and watching if this candle right here shows any willingness to trade into it. Alright, quickly trading into it like this. In my opinion, we could see a run on the buy side here, preferably. To take all of the breakout traders, trap them, and then possibly roll over. That's how I would do it, but let's see what they do it. Good morning, Aladdin. Welcome, welcome. Nonetheless, because price traded so quickly inside of this little fair value gap and it didn't responded bearishly yet, I think if it trades higher, it should be going for those highs. And that would be like reasonable. Wick went above, body stayed inside. Alright, so this candle has to like really stretch higher if it's good for a run on the buy side here. So I'm watching this 258 if it can actually like really bulk up and stretch higher. Alright, not necessarily something like this, but yeah. This type of price action kinda makes me think that we might stay inside of this range longer, but let's see. Right, taking those relatively close here. Let's see if we can close below the BC. Stretching pretty nicely lower in here. But yeah, it didn't took out the buy side here, so that makes me think like I need to be more careful. But nonetheless, it closed below this BC, so I'm annotating this now as bearish inversion fair value gap. And what I want to see is respect in the lower half of it. So I'm watching the price if it can trade back into the lower half. If it doesn't and it keeps on stretching lower and it takes the sell side, then yeah, I missed the opportunity. But also I don't want to be like too aggressive about it, because the conditions aren't very easy. So alright, we also formed another SIB here, but nonetheless I want to see price touch this inversion fair value gap, or at least make an attempt to do so, and no close above the 50% is allowed if that's the case. So also the fact that they didn't run out the buy set here first makes me kind of like think that they are engineering that for later. So later today this buy side might be a good draw. But let's see, it's stretching quite a bit below the inversion fair value gap. Nonetheless, I'm not interested in chasing price as it's going lower like this. I'm only interested if it retraces, touches this here and then reacts lower, something like that. Okay, looks like we will see a potential attempt to trade to this bearish inversion fair value gap, and yeah, I want to see the first 1-2 candles, how they do, if we even reach there, right? Because if it's very heavy, if it's very in rush to trade lower, it won't even do that. But sorry. Alright, looks like it's bulking up an attempt to touch to that inversion fair value gap, and I want to see the reaction on the first 1-2 candles, how it does. If it will trade on a closing basis above the consecutive encroachment, then I'm not interested in using this as short idea. But if it won't, then I'm reasonably interested. And again, if we would take out the buy set here first, then I would be aggressive about this inversion fair value gap, and I would be shorting the first return. Then I would be short, and that would be it. But because we left the SPY side, I'm not 100% sure if they will not want to come back for it first. So that's why. And if it touches this and runs lower, then alright, I take that. But otherwise, I think like I'm assuming more risky position here. That's not that obvious. But let's see. Nonetheless, it's a solid experience here. So this candle here failed to touch the low of that inversion fair value gap, so we didn't get an actual return. If it were to break below this low now quickly with this placement, then it's probably going lower, but it still might to dig deeper. So let's see. So again, I want to see how the first two candles do that trade into or inside of this inversion fair value gap here. And based on that, I want to get a feel for whether it's actually strongly resisting price, or this was just a run on those relatively lows here and will go for the buy side. Alright, so we got the first touch here on the 309 candle, and let's see how it does. Again, if the buy side was taken out here first, those highs, I would be short there, and it might deliver still, but nonetheless I don't have that strong affinity for that, to be honest. And yeah, with current climate, I rather wait. Are you opening the live stream at 9:30 New York time? Not this week. Not this week. This week I'm only doing the London Open session, and that's my main focus for this week. Okay, so first candle that traded into this inversion fair value gap, tapped only shallowly with a wick into it and closed way lower. So now let's see if the second candle can reclaim that or not. So if this is good, it would need to take out this short-term low with measure of displacement here. It didn't do that yet, and the second candle was bearish at the time, but it came back and it's kinda indecisive, so I want to wait one more. Okay, another attempt to trade into this inversion fair value gap. Alright, so now we closed inside of it, and I'm watching this candle as the second one after this return here. So really I'm just trying to be very, very careful about this, because they can play a little bit with people with this price action like this, and it's not again ideal. As I said, if they were taken out this buy side here, then yes, I would be going short here for sure, but because they didn't, I'm kind of like looking for more confirmation, so to say. But yeah, already the second candle approaching the consecutive encroachment, touched with a week only, but traded lower later. So that's now like the key point. This candle has to reject strongly. If this is good, if this is bearish, this next candle has to be a large down candle. And if it does show enough of a displacement, I can also or always use the 15-second chart to maybe like re-enter lower, but so far I don't see much of displacement there. Alright, nothing really there in my opinion. Not super decisive. And my gut feeling, my experience is kind of like telling me that it's likely to trade above this inversion. That's kind of why I'm so hesitant to engage on it, even though I would like to see price trade lower to here, even though it kind of makes sense. To me it's a little bit of suspect, and that's a measure of experience that I have, that sometimes I cannot really explain, and also I might be wrong, right? But again, it has to displace lower from this lower half here, and we haven't seen any like significant displacement as it is now on the 15-second here. So there's nothing for me to do. If it does like a really nice solid large displacement, then yes, I will consider taking that into this sell side. but it has to be really like obvious. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. If it doesn't offer me the displacement, I do nothing, and if it trades higher, then that's also fine. I don't mind then. Yes, I agree. I agree there. The markets are were definitely difficult to predict due to war news, but looks like the war is ending, so we might see some easier price action. We'll see though, but yeah, I think that might be the case. So yeah, is the price respecting the lower half of this inversion fair value gap? Yeah, we can say it is, because we haven't seen any closure in the upper half, right? But at the same time, is price moving away from it? Is price displacing away from it? No, it's not. So it's not really like showing the signatures that it's on the move, which if it's not in on a move right now, it still kind of could go in the upper half, right? And we don't know at the time if it won't close above it. So it's kind of like tricky part or tricky portion of the price action, but yeah, that's how I engaged it. That's how I engage it here. God damn it. I mean, still the high fever plaguing me. I haven't seen any displacement lower from the lower half, and now it's displacing higher. So that's exactly why I didn't want it to go short here on a dime aggressively, because yeah, my experience and my gut told me that it's possible that it will do this type of shenanigans. And if I were short on the 1 minute here, my stop loss would be right above this inversion fair value gap, so I could have been stopped out then. Who knows how it will go still, but if we see a closure above the consecutive encroachment, then I would be like very, very uncomfortable with my position. A Bessie was formed here. All right. So this to me is already kind of suspect because it's spending a lot of time in here. It's exploring the upper half here. So that's not something I would like to see if I were short, right? So that's why I didn't took it. And you can see I would have been stopped out. If I took a short here, I would have been stopped out. So now I'm watching if we can actually see a run on the buy side liquidity here, preferably. And then if anyhow we could come back below this inversion fair value gap, then I would be more comfortable to actually take a short to run the sell side liquidity here. So that's how I see it. So it even closed above this. So now I want to see this act as bullish reclaimed fair value gap. So it should offer support in the upper half and send it towards the buy side liquidity here. And after it does that, I would look for rejections and possible turnover, but who knows if that will happen or not. So preferably I would like to see it like be quick in the delivery to the buy side and not spend too much time inside of the SIBI. That would be like preferred way of the delivery here. We'll see what we get. So yeah, would I like to be trading this price action here so far? Probably not really. It isn't really like an easy price action to navigate in, and it's high resistance, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm still waiting for that one scenario where the buy side is being taken out here first, and then we maybe roll over towards the sell side here. And in something like that I would be interested, but if it's not there I can't trade it, right? So it is what it is. I'm watching the low of the SIB here, if it offers any support to send it towards the buy side and clear that out. That would also entice breakout longs, and it would stop out anyone who was short or chasing shorts inside of this price action here. So very beneficial to do that. And then I would like to watch for any like rejection to actually go lower. So yeah, all of this is kind of looking like engineering sell-side liquidity here to eventually run it out later, but to do that it would be the most efficient to run the buy side liquidity first, and this is the buy side for the day, relative equal highs, so that makes the most sense. Failing here at the CB lower half, back into this inversion. So now let's see if it offers any sensitivity here for higher. Back to this BC. Small little close below the consecutive encroachment. So yeah, if if we close below it again, then I will again watch and look at this as in potential inversion for value gap. And let's say that that would be the run on the buy side here, and this was still left intact. So let's see what it does. Alright, so close below it, this reclaims its function as inversion for value gap, bearish inversion for value gap. So now the lower half should be offering resistance if it's bearish. So let's see if we can tap. There is also this BC here that was close below, which also turns into an inversion fair value gap. So strong type of resistance should be offered around this area. And the same way I would look for the 15-second chart then to offer displacement lower, and if it does, then yeah, I would try to get in sync with the move and possibly run the sell side. But if it doesn't, then I have nothing to do. So simple as that. But yeah, they are playing dirty here a little bit. It's still like all of this is still some measure of like a larger consolidation, so that's why I'm not too excited about it. But let's see if we can see a return to this, and let's see if we can see the displacement afterwards. So let's watch the 15-second here. That's the lower half of this inversion fair value gap. And what would be bearish? It would be trading into this, touching into this area, lower half, and then a large displacement candle lower. And then I would be pretty like confident that it should go lower, but still kind of tricky. So far it couldn't even trade into this inversion. So yeah, because it's sweeping the sell side here, I would say it really has to speed up lower if it's good. But again, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird session though. And I don't want to like chase price or ideas when it's not delivering exactly what I want. So this little fair value gap here is key in my opinion. If price closes above it, that's not good for lower. It would need to respect that very, very well. So I'm watching that. Any return back into this inversion after a failure here, I don't see that as bearish that much. So yeah, very, very, very hard price action to like trade in my opinion, but yeah, I have seen easier sessions for sure. But admittedly, after this large range Asia, this session was meant to be difficult and high resistance and possibly sloppy, and I said that at the beginning of this stream, so you have been warned. So it closed above this, touched, and used it as bullish inversion here. That's not good for lower prices. In my opinion, if it wants to still go lower, it should like fail to reach into this and close below it, and then use it as bearish, and then maybe run out the sell side. But again, it's so tricky, so tricky. But that's how the session after a large range session goes. It's many times very difficult. It wicked below this but closed above it. That's not bearish. That's not bearish at the moment. It needs to close below this little thing if it wants to see any chance of a continuation lower. And then I would expect like a heavy slide type of price action, but yeah. It's just difficult for a low risk entry and like high probability type of scenario where you can like really enter, know where exactly put the stop loss, so it's like very safe and be content with it. So we closed out the low, the next candle opens below it, trades up into it, so this should act as resistance here because it would fail to act as inversion, so it should be reclaimed, and a slight lower would be then expected, but it would need to be like quick and sudden, like losing ground, repricing towards the sell side here. And if it would do that, that would be a great moral victory, but this is not something I want to trade. I don't want to take shorts after we've taken sell side here like this and didn't show any follow through. Yeah, back above this little fair value gap here. So that's always a problematic price action when it does something like this. It could return higher. I'm thinking this inversion fair value gap here is likely next, and how we trade in here will define what we do. If we offer stiff resistance in the lower half, I think lower sell side is here. If we trade above it, then the buy side should be challenged. Then it's kinda like if then how I see it, because this here it kind of forms this like a pennant, like a bear flag, And what I would preferably like to see, if it's going lower and this is a bear flag, to either make a little false breakout, then drag it back towards this inversion fair value gap, and then sell it off lower. But yeah, let's see. It engages those ratifical lows in here. So if it's going lower, it has to really like strongly drop, because otherwise rejection towards the inversion fair value gap is very likely, I would say. Yeah, I did it only with a week, rejected all the way up, indecisive close, very obvious buy sell liquidity here on the short term, and obviously this inversion fair value gap. So this being a potential bear flag, false tap, breakout higher into inversion, and then a rip lower, something like this. I would maybe participate, but if it drops lower right away, I'm not in it. So it rather has to use the inversion fair value gap here. Alright, there we go. This candle is bulking up, so might see that happening. We are also heading into the 350 to 410 macro, so I'm watching for that potential. If the time and price aligns like this, then maybe we will see that this London open session. But again, it has to offer strict resistance in the lower half of this inversion fair value gap. No close above 50% allowed. Alright, at this point it looks like it couldn't even reach this inversion fair value gap. I was actually really looking for it to do so. So I'm kinda stuck with this little range here, which again, this is still acting as some way, shape or form of a bear flag that in my opinion could be played. Alright, so another attempt to break lower, 1, 2, 3 times lower, below this low, came back with a weak. I don't know, but these relative equal highs here, easy picking to grab them into this inversion and then move lower. That's how I would deliver it if they want to do it this way. Take out the buy set here and then smash lower. If they sink it from where it is, then I'm not participating. Alright, so looks like we might see this run on those relative equal highs. And that would happen during the macro. And if the lower half of this inversion offers resistance, I believe it could fold and run out the sell side, and I would be done for the London Open session. Not saying that this will definitely happen, but that's an idea that I have in mind right now with what's in price. So yeah, let's give it a few more minutes to see whether it can unfold or not. And yeah. So yeah, this looks too smooth to not be disrupted, and if it's going to go lower, this should be taken out and rejected. and that's what kinda I'm looking for. Will I get that? We'll see. But yeah, sometimes you gotta be very patient, and sometimes the market isn't giving you what you want. Still meandering around, spending time, still making this even more obvious bear flag. So as long as it stays inside of this consolidation, I'm not interested in what it does. I'm only interested if it breaks out above the buy side first, and yeah, then I would be interested in fading that into lower. But let's see. It's still open what it wants to do. If it takes out this low first, I'm probably doing nothing. I like how it went very close to this low, but then take it out. And if it could reject from here to run the buy side, actually, that would be pretty nice. Little signature here. But yeah, so far we are still inside of this consolidation. So it kind of would need to leave this range here right now to the downside if it wants to go, but because it's this consolidation bear flag, we already taken sell side and sell side here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 times lower, and we have relative equal highs here. I wouldn't be comfortable going any shorts in this area. I would rather wait to see it run potentially this buy side out into this inversion profile gap as like a reasonable, I would even say high probability area where price could drag up into, and then maybe we can roll over. So it tapped this sell side by a tick here and now rejecting higher. I would really like to see a nice smooth rejection higher, not this sloppy one, but like without overlapping candles. But again, I'm probably demanding too much from the price right now, because it's not really delivering very clean price action. So yeah, I'm probably giving it like a couple more minutes to see what happens, and if nothing happens, then I'll be cutting the bait. But yeah. Alright, something to that effect could do the work. But it needs to pump into those relative equal highs, buy side liquidity, and then we could think about something. So let's see, still like 7 minutes of the macro here. If the macro doesn't do anything, then I'm likely cutting the bait. But let's see. Let's give it a 7 minutes, 7 more minutes, or 10 more minutes. If it doesn't break out of this range, then I'll just leave. Alright, so it failed and took out the sell side one more time. That's not what I want to see. But it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lower lows after we've taken already ratifical lows, and we have ratifical highs here. So this kind of suspect, kind of sus. Okay, looks like last chance. So if this low here was a trap for breakout shorts, now to drag them all the way up to stop them out above those equal highs and trading into this inversion fair value gap here to then roll over lower. That would be like the high probability type of scenario to work this out. But yeah, let's see. All of this buy side is waiting to be potentially swept. And nice large candle. I like to see that. It should continue towards this inversion fair value gap. I don't like seeing a week like this. That's not what I like. Yeah, I mean this price action is really reluctant to move at the time, being stuck inside of this consolidation. The macro is pretty much over and the price didn't move at all. So usually I like to give like more, like 2-3 more minutes after the macro, because sometimes that's when the price run can start too, when we have like these off timings a little bit. But nonetheless, yeah, it's taking a lot of time. So I guess I can give like a deadline to it too. So like 4:15. If 4:15 price still stays inside of this range, then I'm probably out. I might tickle you on the through the Telegram if something happens and I'm in front of the charts. But yeah. We'll see. All right, there we go. So we we did get the tap into this buy sell liquidity here, very shallow. If that's happening, I would prefer to see it reach up into this inversion fair value gap, the lower half, or at least make an attempt to do so. So let's see if it can bulk it up. And if that's the case, and we see respect or rejection here, then running out the sell side should be the next potential objective, right? But after price is raiding or raided this liquidity, it has to reject. And on 15-second chart we have this fair value gap here on 15 seconds. So this is the last fair value gap in efficiency before running out the buy side here. So if we good, we make some high, we run the buy side, and after we come back below this inefficiency here on a closing basis, I would expect this to act as inversion, and then I will take a short here with a small stop above it, and let's see. I mean, then I would be like, it happens what it happens. But yeah, it's tapping into this inversion for value gap here in the 1 minute, so that's nice. And because I don't know how far they will want to go, I'm waiting or choosing to use this as potential inversion. Alright, because if it goes further higher and it never comes back to this, it never offers an entry, then I'm not in, right? So aggressive idea would be going short here. That would be more aggressive. And I'm not a fan of being aggressive in these conditions because they are pretty sloppy and high resistance, so they can always color outside the lines a little bit more than we would like. As we do. So we are reaching into the upper half of this, and this should be strictly resisted, right? Resistance should be seen in this area. We already disrespected this inversion for our gap here, which I don't necessarily like. If it's going to go lower, it shouldn't do that probably. So yeah. But this is the key parent PD array, and we've seen no closure above the 50%, so that's reasonably constructive for it to roll over still, but it has to start moving away. Like we already did enough. We already did push the buy side liquidity above relative equal highs here into this premium array. Lower half being respected, it should be moving away, and quickly. So then that we know it should be a low resistance liquidity run on the sell side. If it keeps on going, then I'm not interested. Right, close above consecutive encroachment, not something I like to see, but let's allow for a little bit of coloring outside of the lines, I guess. Alright, trading to the high of this inversion. As long as it does not close above it, I guess it's reasonable still to roll over, because from this high to this low we reach into the premium OTE type of scenario. There is this CB also, so it could possibly roll over, but at the same time it has to like react quickly. It can't be like, you know, sloppy around it, because if it does, and if it spends too much time inside of this imbalance, then we will just see more of the same, which means this consolidation, and that's not what we like to see, right? So alright, so we tapped one more time outside of it, but the bodies are staying inside, so that's reasonable. If we could start seeing some displacement lower, that would be constructive for lower prices though. But it is very, very stubborn price action, very stubborn. Alright, so looks like we are picking up some speed. So I'll drop to the 15-second here again. I still have this inversion fair value gap that if we close below it, I can use that one, possibly. There is also this here, I think. So the lower half of this would need to be, you know, rejected. But so far it can't even do that, so that's not it. All right, so I think like it's no point to make it any longer than this, as price is not performing what I was liking to see, and nonetheless all of the levels, key sell side, buy side stays in place, and maybe the pre-market might be slightly cleaner. I'm still kind of watching if it can displace lower below this low, but yeah, not getting that so far, and the stream is already pretty long, so yeah, I guess practicing patience today and not taking unreasonable risks was the main goal after this omega large run overnight. That's, I guess, reasonable, but yeah, I'm watching if this low on 1 minute could be taken out with displacement to the downside here as, like, you know, last chance, because I still kind of feel like it could deliver from where it is, but the price action is just very high resistance and sloppy, which makes it difficult, right? But yeah, another leg day today. So yeah, nonetheless, thanks everyone for watching. It was a pleasure as always. I'll be back tomorrow with another London Open session, and hopefully it would be or it will be better than what we've seen so far. So thanks for watching. Have a good and pleasant day, and see you around tomorrow. Bye bye.